Welcome to the channel. Shocking photo of the world.
Robots called cyclotrons by their Austrian inventor Klaus Scholz. One of them hands a cup of tea to Frau Schultz, circa 1950 in Vienna. The two robots shown here were invented by Viennese engineer Klaus Scholz. Elizabeth Taylor gives her four-legged friend a bath. A couple riding together on an autote, 1923. The first prototypes of autotes appeared in the late 19th century, but mass production began in the 1900s. The goal of creation: to offer inexpensive and accessible transport to the general population. Halibut catch, Amsterdam, 1913. A pair of ostriches pulling a cart at an ostrich farm, Los Angeles, 1900. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, ostrich feathers were extremely popular in fashion, especially for women's hats. Dangerous sports club cross-country skiing, Street, Moritz, Switzerland, 1983. A child in Oudtshoorn, Cape Province, South Africa, sits on a pile of ostrich eggs, 1939. Police officers watch with alarm as a pair of aliens casually walk down Regent Street, London, 1964. Circus performers George Moore Living Skeleton and Fred How Fat Man, 1897. A woman in an electric bath at the Institute of Light Care, 1900. The electric bath, probably the forerunner of the modern solarium, was used for therapeutic purposes. A circus performer trains a zebra to stand on its hind legs, 1920. Zebras are trainable, but their potential is limited by their wild instincts and need for a calm environment. Frida Kahlo and Leon Trotsky. Historians claim they had a brief affair, 1937. Crater left after the underground nuclear explosion Sudan, 1960s. Nevada, the largest artificial crater in the USA. The most secure safe in a bank, 1920. Marcy Borders, 28. Known as the Dust Lady, worked in the North Tower of the World Trade Center and survived the September 11, 2001 attacks. Wrestler Mildred Burke files her nails while holding off a reporter, 1947. Mildred Burke was born May 12, 1914, in Newark, New Jersey. She began wrestling as a young girl and transitioned to professional wrestling in the 1930s. The second-class deck of the Titanic, April 11, 1912. Swedish model Lisa von Sogrivs at the Eiffel Tower, Paris, 1939. Lisa von Sogrivs is considered one of the first supermodels, whose face became recognizable thanks to her work with leading photographers and magazines. Italian-style pasta drying on racks in the Italian Sun, 1955. At that time, industrial drying methods were not yet widespread. A fur coat made of monkey fur by French designer Guy Laroche, Paris, 1970. Guy Laroche is one of France's most distinguished designers, whose name has become synonymous with elegance. Decanting wine in the Bercy warehouses, Paris, 1904. Decanting wine is the process of pouring the drink from a bottle into a special decanter. The D. Louis Bridge in Porto, early 20th century. This double bridge, connecting the cities of Porto and Vila Nova de Gaia, is an outstanding example of 19th century engineering. A large family living in Paris. Photo from the series Paris and Parisians in the photographs of Jean-Philippe Charbonnier, 1952. Eiffel Tower, Paris, France, 1932. The phrase "See Paris and Die" comes from Ilya Arenberg's book My Paris, published in 1931. Painters sit at a market waiting for work, Bucharest, Romania, 1928. Dog cart, Netherlands, 1904. In the early 20th century, keeping horses was an expensive proposition in the Netherlands, especially in rural areas. Warsday in Volendam, Netherlands, 1930s. Scano, Italy, 1951. Photo by the famous Henri Cartier-Bresson, a French photographer whose works became symbols of the 20th century. Bessie Coleman was the first black pilot to be rejected from a flight school in the United States. She went to France, where she learned French and received her international pilot rating in 1922. Inuit woman with baby, King Island, Alaska. Taken between 1915 and 1925. Freddie Mercury on the bullet train, heading to Nagoya during the Hot Space Japan tour. Nishinomiya, Japan, October 25, 1982. Italian inventor David Chisloghi tests his unicycle. 1933. A German soldier poses for a photograph with his father, dressed in an old Bavarian uniform. 1913. Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here album cover shoot. Warner Brothers. 1975. The first monohulls were built at the end of the 19th century. In the photo you see one of the models, presented by Giuseppe Giovantosa in 1931. EKIP is an abbreviation of the words ecology and progress, which fully explain the author's idea, and it was designed by aircraft designer L.N. Shuken in the early 1980s. In the 1960s, a working group at the Gorky automobile plant developed experimental cars. Despite the fact that the dream of all boys had become reality, there was no clear idea of the use of the ground flying vehicle, and production was closed. The train was driven by an electromagnetic field. The invention was intended to help transport passengers in large cities. The train was to be propelled by jet engines, and its testing helped in the development of high-speed trains. The Schienen Zeppelin, or Rail Zeppelin, was invented by Franz Krukenberg in 1929. The train's light weight allowed it to reach speeds that were high for the time. But despite the boldness of the idea, the invention had many drawbacks. A flying platform produced by Hiller Aircraft, the first flight of which took place on February 9, 1955. Max Factor presented his invention in 1932. It helped to identify flaws in appearance and correct them with the help of cosmetics. Sharpshooter Annie Oakley shoots over her shoulder with a hand mirror. 1899. This 1899 photograph shows Annie Oakley, a prominent American markswoman known for her incredible stunts. Cats kept on ships to catch rodents until the mid-20th century signed their passports with paw prints. Lunch atop a skyscraper, New York, 1932-1932. The height of the Great Depression. The iconic photograph Lunch atop a skyscraper features 11 construction workers sitting with lunch boxes on a steel beam, suspended 260 meters above Manhattan. Coal and gas-powered taxi, England. Enough fuel was stored on the roof of the car for a range of 24 kilometers. 1920. Navajo man wearing ceremonial mask. Photo by Edward S. Curtis. 1904. A bouncer at the Shanghai Reds, California, escorts a customer to the door. 1953. Young Dutch mother with her baby in a wooden prom, Netherlands. 1929. Girls dressed for prom, an American high school. 1920. Mel Gibson and Sigourney Weaver in 1983. The main characters on the set of the Australian film, directed by Peter Weir. Jack London and his wife, Charmaine Kittredge. London pose on the beach, Hawaii, USA. 1915. Carolyn Kennedy walks ahead of her father, John Kennedy, who carries her doll, USA. 1963. On Hollywood Boulevard, 1992. Photographer Gregory Hinsdale. Hollywood Boulevard is the main east-west street in Los Angeles, California, United States. King Constantini of Greece right and Prince Juan Carlos I of Spain left during a karate sparring match. Corfu, Greece, 1966. Alfred Langevin was a man who could smoke a pipe with his eyes. 1930s. View of Lower Manhattan, New York. Lower Manhattan. View from Brooklyn across the East River, USA. April 4, 1932. The last photo of Princess Diana in her lifetime. She gets into the Mercedes, in which she would crash to her death half an hour later. France, 1997. Horse-drawn carriage motorcycle prototype, early 1900s. Dogs of smoke breaks too. In the West, pets are more than just beloved pets. They are an integral part of society. and their presence in human social life no longer surprises anyone.